Katakwi district, located in the eastern part of Uganda, for decades experienced insurgencies perpetrated by the Lord's Resistance Army invasion and cattle raids from the Karamojong. Much as these conflicts ended, it left Katakwi district one of the poorest, a tag it struggles to shake off to this day. The widespread levels of poverty have hit the women the hardest since they do not own the main factors of production like land. This has left them at the mercy of the men who use culture to subject women to gender-based violence. There are several cases of gender-based violence that are registered daily.
I always receive cases of domestic violence in general, emotional, economic, physical, and sexual. All those cases I receive. I receive child neglect. Parents fail to provide children their necessities. I receive missing children. Children get lost and they bring to us, our family, our office. And we make sure we maybe get away of God, relocating them to their parents. We receive child trafficking. They always children they come from Moroto. They communicate to us, then we get them in the vehicles, we bring them here, then we communicate to them, they take them back.
Akirol Grace, a mother of 5, struggles to move short distances. It is a daunting task because she is paralyzed. 2 years ago, she was a strong, able-bodied, hardworking woman, solely caring for her children. But this changed in an instant when she tried to stop her alcoholic, abusive husband from giving their child alcohol.
Obune so gwele waragi. Ay tamata bodo edi. Eta matangis edi eta. Abion ngata marbe. Mam tamasiko ki edi ne waragi. Emunari koko. Tuani. Ogeun bodo benya balango. Dum bodo ngata na kiko irikitingo. Da keun ngo ke di koko do koko bala kwa tingina. Bila bodengo. Di koko mama bodo makangas.
After hitting her on the tree stump, breaking her lower back and narrowly escaping death, he threatened to finish her off if she told anyone. At the hospital, she claimed that she had fallen off a mango tree. Failing to speak the truth and being poor denied her access to vital, timely treatment and justice. She now has to live with this permanent disability and has to depend on her daughter to feed, clothe, and bathe her. Esther Aguti, a 40-year-old mother of 6, was married off by her mother and brothers to a man she had never met because her poor family needed the dowry. This marked the beginning of different forms of gender-based violence meted out to her by husband and in-laws spanning a period of 20 years.
I could suffer. You cook food, abuse you. You go to the well, when you come, you enter in the kitchen, somebody comes and knocks the jerrycan and falls down. That water goes. Again you go. When you cook late, you reach maybe around 2 there, the food is not ready. You'll be abused and beaten. I started time when I wanted to kill my children. That thinking came to me. I was like, I should buy poison, I give them, and then I also die. Then I said, I think I should move with my children and we fall in the lake. One day, I remember I went with my children. I did not tell them where we are going. I was like, let's go. We went, but me, I was crying. I was crying. They could, Mommy, what's wrong? I said, no, let's go. Because when they asked me to clean my tears, I moved with them. We reached somewhere there in Getom. We are heading in that lake. Now when we reached in Getom, I got my cousin's sister. She asked me, Esther, where are you going? When he just asked me, tears had to fall. And I said, I think you're not fine. First come and we sit and we talk. And anyway, when I sat with her, I told her where I'm going through. Because even in our family now, they left helping me.
Sad as these two cases may be, it would have ended tragically for Esther and Grace if they had not gotten support from the Women Protection Center in Katakwi town. They are among hundreds of survivors of gender-based violence that have benefited from the WPC project. The Women Protection Center is one of the 13 gender-based shelters set up across the country by ActionAid with funding from the Department for International Development, DFID, under support to Uganda's response to gender equality, known as SURGE program. The shelter that has been in operation for 8 years has been acting as a safe sanctuary and reporting center for survivors of gender-based violence.
Basically, here at the shelter, there are mainly services that help survivors of gender-based violence cope up or seek further management to help them overcome trauma and also other challenges that they encounter because of gender-based violence. So we have the legal services that include mediations, court-based and then non-court-based mediations, legal representation of survivors in court, mainly the civil cases pertaining to land, where we've been emphasizing on women's access to social justice. We also offer psychosocial support, very key to every client because most of them are always traumatized by the time they come here. So we do offer temporary accommodation to survivors who are fleeing from violence.
Grace was housed at the shelter and supported to access treatment, and a case against her husband was opened at the police. When she had recovered, they rented for her and her children a house within town and given food and other basic necessities.
Arribingai jarano yangar tenga inwaka X-ray. Gwela kinne te bodenga tona belchida nana pakinane.
Esther benefited from training in business skills, which is offered to survivors of gender-based violence as a form of empowerment to enable them provide for their families without depending on their husbands.
ActionAid brought for us a trainer and was training us about business. That man talked and really entered deep on my heart. Say that you can leave yourself to be poor and call yourself poor, but you need to put yourself in business. And then he taught us, but that entered on me, brought me up. Now I got some capital from ActionAid I was given. I came with that capital. I went and I bought ngano. I bought every single making bread. I started there. I could make loaves, I could make cakes, I could make half cakes. I started moving with that bread. I could move. Reached the time I could prepare a carton. I reached the time I could prepare 2 cartons. I moved with it. Life became at least somehow better.
60-year-old Elungat Mary also benefited from ActionAid training. Before she went to the GBV shelter for help, she used to constantly fight with her husband, and they were not developing. After attending several trainings by ActionAid, there is harmony in their household.
This is the house I started with when I joined ActionAid Women's Center. But with the knowledge I got from ActionAid, by the trainings we were given, so I had to utilize that knowledge, not to quarrel my husband, not to be chasing him away from home because he had many women who had spoiled him. But I had to dare to welcome him as my husband. He knew very well that I was in good terms with him. I never mind to follow what he was doing. That's why he came and built this Mabati house here. So now we are going to shift from this way, this house.
This has enabled the family to grow into one of the most food secure households in the area.
Inside here we have food, we have stocked. We have maize, we have millet, peas.
To ensure that men are not left out, perpetrators of GBV were also specifically targeted with the trainings on positive masculinity, supported by ActionAid.
Since I was born, I was grew up, I didn't know that the law of our constitution of Uganda has balanced a man and a woman that's equal rights. So when I got that training, actually, I came up to my home. Then I meet with all my children and a wife and neighbors. So when you started to sensitize and the community leaders like councillors. We moved together with the ACDOs and sensitizing people concerning that issue of GBV and other stakeholders.
From a serial wife beater, Omoro John Peter has been transformed into a male champion who sensitizes other families about the dangers of gender-based violence. He mediates in conflicts and makes referrals to the center. He has also converted this house into a guest house for GBV survivors who report to him and have nowhere else to go.
So I mediate those ones people who are perpetrators, and sometimes my place, when a survivor come also, I give them where to sleep or the shelter.
Activists and the youth known as Activista have also been trained and are at the forefront of the fight against gender-based violence.
Sasa is a Kiswahili word that means right now, like let's act right now. It's a community methodology that is developed to empower the communities to be able to identify, analyze, and generate actions that are geared towards preventing violence against women and girls. Under the SASA methodology, we work with structures that are called the community activists.
Kalelo ayat yun so kalelo no ikonyene palomo nya so itungaliwe chor isishana at ActionAid. Opoto dumuda na pakina elo mna sai choro kestomo kalelo. Na dumuna ta kesa na pakini ko pa na otomondo kalalo. Mamebe long le yata tare kesi. Akalo sabu nere ai choro kesi.
ActionAid has also been working with the different leaders, including cultural leaders, religious leaders, district and local leaders, to ensure that the gender-based violence fight is a concerted effort.
Yes, I don't know kini kale angulu. I chor kopi chor teresa ndalo ita I chor kale angulu. Au pas kada lue dini kada ite mono kini ukoroda. Se alam tiberang ActionAid noi naraya wai napakin ne morongora so arono noi. O maseti due jae ikilio ko merasi biribire to bali due to na moto kana konye na pabuni o asisia na pena atemokin.
The shelter has been providing critical services to survivors of gender-based violence amidst several challenges.
We have registered tremendous success. Access, fighting for the rights of women, access to land, access to property rights, but also resolving family conflicts, conducting mediations, especially in the sub-counties of Palam, Ngaria, Magoro, Usuko, Ngongoja, where these cases are very rampant. We have also seen perpetrators of violence being arrested and taken into the courts of law. We have seen widows regaining access to their land.
So far, helped a total of 8,000 survivors. Those ones include those ones who they are also repeat cases. So we've helped them, we've mediated and concluded around 3,000 clients. Others were referred to different stakeholders for further management of the cases.
As ActionAid withdraws and Katakwi district takes over the operations of the Women Protection Shelter, a cloud of uncertainty hangs. This is worsened by the prevailing situation brought about by COVID-19.
It's going to affect us a lot because, we don't have any other alternative or shelter for these women. However, we know the district is trying to take up that shelter, but I know, of course, they are not going to be as effective as it used to be. So we shall continue with our referrals. When we get such cases, we shall still refer to the same place.
ActionAid, mid-2020, handed over the Women Protection Center to Katakwi local government. Acknowledging the tremendous impact the Women Protection Center has had in the fight against gender-based violence, Katakwi district officials assured the women of Katakwi and gender-based violence survivors in particular of continued support.
not going to leave the ActionAid. We shall still be consulting. As a district already Philip must have told you, we have already assigned 2 of our staff. Francis appear and Madame Anyo. They're already there. There were some commitments of 5% of bill of quantities, and that is a process we are following.
The MOU between the district and ActionAid to run the shelter runs for 3 years, so it's ending in 2022. So we are guaranteed that we have the building. The district allocated an old block at the district headquarters for purposes of providing GBV services. We've also been having the structures. We've been working with the community activists. We've been working with the SAS activists, the Women Forum. And we've also had the gender desks in each of these structures. So we are not worried that this is going to end.
They have really enjoyed us. I want to thank ActionAid for that. But they should remember us also. If there is something else, or there is some meeting, or they will want ActionAid to be back, taken to somewhere, at least they should remember Katakwi also.
Here, where I am, you will not find even people fighting nowadays. Only slight thing like this, they come to me and I go and